the mainstream media apparently forgot that Rick Snyder, remember him, former governor of Michigan, calls himself one tough nerd, I believe. Well, a judge, I think it was last year, ruled that removed him from a lawsuit. It was basically a bunch of class action lawsuits that were pooled into one giant class action lawsuit to basically get funds, reparation funds, because they were poisoned. A judge removed Rick Snyder from that fund, from that lawsuit as a defendant, basically citing some cockamamie thing that by Michigan law, he can't be sued. Well, a new judge has come in saying, that's bunk. Flint residents now can sue former Governor Rick Snyder over water disaster, judge rules. A judge says former Governor Rick Snyder can be sued by residents in the Flint water scandal, reversing a decision from last summer. Residents claim Snyder violated their right to bodily integrity by repeatedly doing nothing as Flint used corrosive water that released lead from old pipes. Judge Judith Levy says a right to bodily integrity is a, quote, fundamental interest protected by the U.S. Constitution. Levy says members of Snyder's administration had warned that switching Flint to the Flint River could lead to a potential disaster. Members of Snyder's administration? No. That's not true. I think what she means is, I think what the writer was meaning, Levy says members of Snyder's administration were warned that switching Flint to the Flint River could lead to a potential disaster. The city was under state management in 2014 and 2015. State management because Rick Snyder put in an unelected emergency manager that decided in Flint to switch from the Flint River, to switch from Detroit's water system to the Flint River. And that unelected manager was essentially just a proxy for Rick Snyder. So essentially, Rick Snyder decided to do this. Snyder's Department of Environmental Quality failed to require corrosion control. Levy, a federal judge in Ann Arbor, is overseeing lawsuits related to the water crisis. She released a 128-page opinion Monday. Snyder left office in January. He has apologized for failures that created and prolonged the crisis. How kind of the former governor to apologize for failures that led to permanent brain damage, to permanent physical damage. I just spoke with a resident that I have interviewed. She is waiting for test returns, to see if her cancer is now, I hate to say it, but to see if her cancer has got to the point where it will be fatal. So I'm not a religious person, but I'm definitely, praying for her and many other residents that I've interviewed. The thing about this that's so crazy to me is, for example, my interview with Aaron Maté that we're going to air in a little bit, we're talking about Russiagate and how the media got things so wrong. Well, the media is not only at fault when it gets things wrong. The media is at fault when it forgets how important certain things are. All you have heard is we cannot normalize Donald Trump. Well, what is more abnormal? The 24/7 coverage of a circus animal, or basically after 2 weeks in a lead-poisoned community where still to this day people are having rashes. Still to this day people are losing hair. Still to this day I've heard people telling me they're getting nosebleeds. And the long-term consequences, you have children forgetting letters in the alphabet, forgetting their numbers, slow, cognitively, really just damaged to the point of developmental delays. You have children that could barely walk. Their bones have been affected. You have a city that is basically the Walking Dead, and nobody seems to give a damn, including the local media there. We do. And when you see this documentary, again, we're releasing it April 23rd. Myself, Jen, Ty, heading back to Flint for the 5-year anniversary. We're going back there because you're funding us to do it. Our GoFundMe is still going. Right now we're at $51,385. We are creating a separate fund just for this trip because we're releasing the documentary through this trip. So we need a little bit more funding, not only for the travel there, but for marketing. We got to market this documentary. Unfortunately, we're not we're not distributing it through Netflix or something big like that. We're distributing it through us. So we're definitely going to need more advertising dollars. So please, please, please. Jen's working on creating the page for that. But until then, GoFundMe. And of course, like I said, this documentary was only possible because of you. Statuscoup.com/join. To become a member. That's how we're going to do this. So I hope if you've been on the fence, again, Ty's almost done with the last trailer we're going to release before the documentary. And I think once you see that trailer, you're going to be even more inclined to support us. So, well, support us anyway before the trailer, but you get the point. But I guess where I'm going with all this is there's no accountability, period, anymore. In America, whether it's the media screwing up on a story, whether it's the media totally, abdicating its duty and leaving poor black and white people in Flint to basically die and fend for themselves, that's what's happened. Every time we have gone to Flint, and I've been there 13 times, every time it's so striking to me, because if you are a real journalist worth your salt, a man, a woman, whatever, this is the story of a lifetime. Not only were these people poisoned by their own government, but it's been covered up after the fact. That's what this documentary is about. This documentary shows us knocking on 450 doors last summer and last fall to find out that the state of Michigan's top environmental agency cooked the books. They flushed residents' water lines right before taking lead and copper samples, meaning those tests were doctored. Meaning, the declaration that Governor Rick Snyder, who is now back as a defendant on that giant class action lawsuit, that governor, when he declared a year ago, April 2018, that Flint's water was restored, and then with that declaration, that's basically that's like Flint's version of mission accomplished. He was George W. Bush, fighter pilot landing, restored. And then he shut down the free distribution water pods. There are still to this day people in Flint that do not have a choice but to drink water that, I'm not saying it's 100% still contaminated. What I am telling you 100%, the testing was manipulated, and that testing is what they used to declare the water safe. So, wise minds, common sense, I've been there. Why are people still getting rashes? Why are people still losing hair? Still, 5 years later. Why are people still having nosebleeds? The list goes on. Autoimmune, cancers, muscle pain, bone pain. They don't have Medicare for all. That's one of the questions I was going to ask Bernie Sanders' campaign chair today on the press call. As president, do people in Flint, if obviously their goal was Medicare for all for everyone, but until then, should people in Flint have Medicare for all? And not just Flint, there's plenty of other people that have been poisoned and environmentally damaged all over this country, from lead to arsenic to now PFAS, cancer-causing chemicals made from the manufacturing of Teflon. There's no media accountability. So then I thought, how does the governor of Michigan, now ex-governor, how does this man just get away? No accountability. He was the governor. He's the chief executive of the state of Michigan. There's been no criminal charges filed against him. And until now, until this judge decided this, he was not going to face any even civil liability. If there is no accountability for the media, if there's never accountability for actual politicians, how do we get change? How do we, as a society, gain protection from these people? Because if they could get away with it constantly, the next one who's just like him in another city, in another state, maybe yours, they can do the same thing because he got off. Nobody's looking. Nobody's watching. In Michigan, it's to this day one of the biggest scandals. Freedom of information requests do not, if you're a journalist, freedom of information requests do not apply to the governor's office. So I can't get access to his emails in the critical time leading up to the Flint water crisis and that water switch. His office, his office released some of the emails, but not all of them. So this is a good day for the people in Flint that he is now a defendant again on this lawsuit. But make no mistake about it, Rick Snyder, he's a wealthy man. And he's going to have the best damn attorneys money could buy. And he's going to have right-wing think tanks behind him. He already has a right-wing think tank behind him. It's called the Mackinac Center in Michigan. So, you know, yes, he might lose money. He might be liable and on the hook for a lot of money. But is that justice? Is that justice to the children that are forever damaged? Is that justice to the parents, many of whom I know that could barely get out of bed in the morning? Is that justice to the residents who have spent thousands of dollars out of pocket? One woman that I know has spent $30,000 to $40,000 out of pocket. Is that justice? Because if Rick Snyder gets away with it, I'm talking criminally. If he gets away with this criminally, the next guy or gal is going to get away with it. That's why I've been so passionate from Flint to the beginning. From the beginning to the middle to now. Because if you do not hold these people accountable, if the media does not continue to cover this, that's the playbook. And that's what people in other communities are going to look. From governors to lieutenant governors to congressmen to senators to city council to dog catchers. If ground zero for environmental catastrophe, for environmental genocide, if nobody of significant level, I'm talking about the governor of the state where this happened, who, by the way, was trying to end the free water distribution to the poison people of Flint earlier than he did. He was kicking and screaming when a judge demanded that they deliver home-to-home free water, which they never did. So that's why I cover it. That's why we're going back. End of April. That's why Ty has been working on this documentary pretty much night and day. For our business, it would have been smarter for us to have Ty work on a lot of other things to help us get more clicks or more this or more that. But we think this documentary is more important. So that's why we've had him working on that. And he's doing a great job, and I'm excited to play the trailer. When he's done with the trailer, I'm going to post it first for members, and then maybe a couple days later for the general public. Same thing with the documentary. So if you've been on the fence, I hope you'll consider becoming a member today, statuscoup.com/join, because I could tell you, as humbly as I could say it, I think you would be proud to support us once you see this documentary. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.